Hey guys, I thought I'd make a very quick video to explain some good programming practice that you can use during the initial stages of your programming, and also to look at how you can make your program more user-friendly. Let's consider the following example. I have a question and a solution. For now, I'm going to remove the solution. Let's first understand the question. Here, we need to write a program to input the length and the breadth of a rectangle. So we can see that there are two inputs, the length and the breadth. We need to find and output the area of the rectangle. So find means we need to do a calculation. We need to calculate the area, and then we need to output the area of that rectangle. So in my process, in my calculation, I need to work out the area, which will be done in one statement, and my output again is going to be one output statement to display the area. Now let's look at this particular solution. As I indicated, we need to input the length and the breadth of the rectangle. So here are two input statements. The first one is where we're inputting the length, we're converting it into an integer, and we're storing it in a variable called num1. And similarly, we input the breadth, convert it into an integer, and store it in a variable num2. Then our process, we calculate the area, and area is just the length times the breadth. So the length is stored in num1 and the breadth is stored in num2. We are multiplying the two and we're storing the result in a variable called sum. And then we display, that's what the program requires us to output the area. So there it is here, we output the area. So the program appears to be doing what the question wants us to do. Let's give it a quick run and see whether it actually works. So it says enter the length. So let's assume the length of a rectangle is 10. That could be 10 centimeters as an example. We don't put the units in. And when I press enter, it asks me to enter the breadth. Let's say that is 5 centimeters. So the area in this case, 10 times 5 is 50. If I press enter, you will see that I get an answer of 50, which is correct. So this program works well and it gives me the right answer. But let's see how we can now improve on the programming practice and also how we can make this a bit more user-friendly. So in the first instance, this is the message that the user is going to see on the screen. So my suggestion here is to type, and when we start typing, let's use a capital letter. So in both the messages, let's type properly. Start the sentence or start the message with a capital letter. You shouldn't type everything in capital letters. They usually say when you type everything in capital letters, you're shouting at somebody. So we don't want to shout at anybody. And you would have noticed when the program is run, the value that I'm inputting is right against the last letter of length. So we should actually leave a space in the message, and a good idea would also be to put a colon. So let's do the same here and leave a space. So when I run this, you will see that it says enter the length and there's a space after the value I type. So this is a little more user-friendly from a programming perspective. I'm going to stop my program so we can see now the two messages. They give the user a better perspective when the program is being run. Now, from a programming point of view, we are inputting the length and we're storing it in a variable called num1. Although it works, num1 is a variable. For me, I would have preferred storing it in a variable called len or length, something that's meaningful in terms of what the input is doing. So here we are inputting the length, and I would prefer to store it in a variable called len. And similarly, For the breadth, I prefer to store that in a variable called breadth. So we can use something abbreviated. That's good enough. But if you prefer, you could write the entire word out. Length, length, breadth, like that. That's good enough. So I've got the length, I've got the breadth. Now I want to find the area. So it's no longer going to be num1. It's going to be length times breadth. It finds the variable for me. And I am doing a calculation, but I'm not really finding the sum. To the computer, that variable name doesn't matter. But from a programmer's point of view, if somebody else is reading your program, it should be easier to interpret just by looking at your variable names. So here we are working out area. So it is a good idea to call the variable area. And then when I'm printing, I print the area. So all that I've done is I've improved the messages that the user will see. And I also improved the variable names. And as I changed them in my input, I also changed them in my process. I changed the result for my process, and I also changed it in my output. So there is one last thing that we should do. Instead of just printing the answer, it is always good to accompany that with a message. So here I would like to say the area. We could just say the area is. I'm going to say the area of the rectangle is. Put a colon. That's my message. And then we separate the message and the variable using a comma. So when this is printed, it's now going to display the message. The area of the rectangle is, and then it's going to display the value stored in that variable called area. Let's give this a run and see how this program behaves. Enter the length. So now I enter 10. It looks a lot more appealing from a user point of view. Then it asks me to enter the breadth. The breadth is 5. And when I press enter, it gives me a message to say the area of the program is, and it displays the answer, which is 50. So from a user experience point of view, it's a much better experience and it's more user-friendly. And if somebody else, another programmer, is looking at your program, just by looking at it and looking at the names of the variables, it becomes easier for that programmer to identify in terms of what's going on in the program. So try to focus on these two aspects to develop good programming practice and to also make your programs more user-friendly. I hope this video helps you.